Hey everybody, can't believe it's already spoiler day 7. Let's get right into it. Alright, so in today, Jagex revealed two big things. One was the Banker's Note Relic, and in the teaser video they talked about a bunch of different skills that would kind of benefit from it. I'm going to kind of dive into each of the kind of snapshots that they showed and tell you why I think it's great or maybe not so great, and where it's going to be really, really powerful. And I'm going to go into all those details and then kind of summarize for you everything at the end. And then the second spoiler we got was the tasks. Now this wasn't a comprehensive list of the tasks. This was only a small subset. However, we can use that information to start planning out our early game strategies. So I will touch on that really quickly. I don't have enough time in this video to kind of go through every single task. And I don't think I'll, creating a video with all the tasks and talk about every single one of them is going to be exciting for you. A lot of them are going to be the same from the last few leagues, so there's nothing really changing there too much, but I will talk about how you can start using that information today to start making your plan. So let's get into Banker's Note Relic. So this is an item that's going to be in your inventory. So remember, like all the similar relics where you get an item, you need to be in a bank to unlock it. Once you unlock this relic, you will have this little note piece of paper, and that will allow you to note and unnote items. So this is pretty much having like files in your pocket, right? If for those of you who've done, bones to prayer training at the altars in the houses, you might be noting and unnoting. This is just having that guy in your pocket at no cost, right? Super duper powerful. Things that you couldn't carry around, like infinite food or infinite supplies, you're going to be able to. For example, let's say you're training mahogany homes. You don't need to go to the bank and restock on lumber. You're just going to be able to have all the planks noted in your inventory, and you're just going to one-click them, refill your inventory, and just keep spamming mahogany homes. In the same way, you can just train in your house, right? And just keep unnoting things and remaking those tables, right? It's going to be super, super powerful. But let's get into some of the things that Jagex showed in their teaser and why they might be great or not so great. All right, so Endless Relic. So in here we saw two animations, Endless Harvest, sorry. We saw two animations with sharks and with mining rune essence. Now, if you have Endless Harvest, these items are going to be going directly to your bank. So you're not going to be able to maximize the use of Banker's Note. Now, for those of you who are like, hey, I'm not going Endless Harvest, great. Now you have another relic that's just going to make training and gathering some resources way more AFK. And also, they also showed a player cooking and using the note to unnode sharks. Well, there's already great spots like the Rogue's Den where you have a bank right next to it. So you don't really need to do this. You can just kind of one click on the bank, take out your items, click on the fire. This is a little bit faster because you don't have to turn and click through the animations and screens. It's just like a 2-click. But again, that's more of a quality life upgrade for these things. But for those of you who are not going Endless Harvest, this is a nice relic to pick later on. I'm assuming it's later on because Endless Harvest is a tier 1. That will kind of alleviate some of the strain of gathering those resources, right? So again, great use. If you have Endless Harvest, you're not going to benefit from some of these things, but that's okay. Cool. Tool Leprechaun. Now, they showed someone gathering herbs from the herb patch and then noting them. There's a Tool Leprechaun right there, right? Like, sure, you got to run to it. You got to click on him and, note it. But it's not that much of a big time save. It is, however, going to be great as a time save for gathering resources. Now, I do hope Jagex releases Botanist because that will be a great way to save secondaries so you don't need to collect so many secondaries. But if they don't and you do need to gather a bunch of these, you will be able to kind of just quickly note them. Remember, the snape grass here is a great thing to collect. Also, flax, if you're going to spin it into bowstrings and use it to flush your bows, that's also another option. And there's a ton of other resources that'll just kind of benefit from you doing this, like, one effort for an hour gathering resources, noting them all, and then, doing whatever you need to do with them later on. But again, the Tool Leprechaun already notes all of the crops that you harvest from it. Sure, when you're cutting trees and you're getting logs from the trees you plant, if you are doing that for whatever reason, you can note the logs, and the Tool Leprechaun cannot do that for you. So that is one kind of thing, but I'm just, it's kind of funny that they tease this when the Tool Leprechaun is already there to note those items for you. All right, Banker's Note with last recall on runecrafting. Now, I'm pointing at runecrafting because it was in the teaser, but this kind of applies to everything that you're going to do in the game. So everyone has access to last recall. And the moment you unlock a one-click bank teleport, So for example, if you're gonna get Kandarin, I believe that's where Castle Wars is, and you get the Globetrotter relic, you should have that one-click teleport to Castle Wars. Hopefully you can kind of select the menu and choose one default teleport location, and that way you can just click, spam click, go back and forth. Once you have that, you're gonna be able to go back to the bank, dump your inventory. Obviously, if you have runes, they're already stacked, so you don't need to dump them. You just need to replenish your essence from the bank, and then use last recall to go back to the altar, right? This banker's note is just gonna make that process a little bit faster, right? The teleport animation to go to the bank, teleport to come back, and then also the point of clicking and filling your inventory, that is pretty much the amount of time you're gonna save for this. Me, I'm going to get Asgarnia, so I'm gonna try to push crafting early so I have the crafting cape, and that way I can have a one-click tele to the bank there. There's gonna be a couple of options for you depending on what regions you're unlocking, but just keep in mind that for anything that the banker's note can do, you can pretty much do the same thing just at a little bit of a slower pace by going to a bank, filling your inventory, and then doing last recall back to whatever activity you were. So don't get me wrong, this is amazing to maybe just kind of one time go and just get 99 rune crafting back to back. However, if you don't have banker's note, it's not going to be a deal breaker. There's other ways around it. Now, non-instanced PvM. First of all, there's two things I want to point out in this image. I can't believe this player is bringing a scythe with Infernal Cape, full Torva, and needs supplies to kill a mole. The relics are already so damn powerful. You don't need anything to kill a mole with the relics. You're gonna one-shot the mole with that gear. But let's say for whatever reason you do need to bring your supply stash. Sure, you can banknote and refill your inventory in situations like this. Same thing goes for God Wars bosses and other mid-tier bosses and things you might kill. But do note, again, the same thing that applies to last recall. For example, if you have Kandarin, you can use the Artie Cloak, teleport to the monastery, recharge your player, and then just last recall right back to the boss. You don't even need to use the prayer potions that you've created. You can just refill that way. If you have the wilderness, you can teleport to Ferox Enclave, drink from the pool, and come back. Obviously, that will remove your buffs from your super strengths and super attacks and super combats, so you will need to re-drink those again. But again, there's some balance there. So remember, pretty much the same effect of like the banker's note is, if you have a way to kind of go somewhere, you'll always have a way to come back. So that way you may not need to bring all these resources for these non-instance kind of fights, right? It's still very powerful. For example, if you're going to be fighting next and you just need a ton of supplies, or you're relatively new and you haven't killed a General Gerardor and you just want to kind of have like that war of time and attrition, you can just keep refilling your inventory with food and just keep fighting him until you successfully kill him. Now keep in mind, when you click this and you eat food, you need to re-click the boss and attack, assuming you don't have auto retaliate on, and which you shouldn't when you're fighting those God War bosses, but you will have to do that. And so just don't forget that if you're eating, you're not doing damage, and that will slow you down. So therefore, just be cautious of how often you're refilling your inventory with food and clicking to eat. Just make sure, you're gonna be on a 2-tick attack most likely anyways, so just make sure you're getting some hits in, so you're just not eating through your food without doing any damage to the boss, right? Jagex kind of alluded to that in their teaser, in their tweet, who's gonna eat 1,000 sharks and still not kill Jad? Well, if you don't attack the boss, you're not gonna kill him, so it doesn't matter how much food you bring. So just keep that in mind. Again, it's great, it's gonna be powerful, but there was one other thing that I noticed on this screenshot here, the Globetrotter amulet. Now, I don't know that amulet, if it's already in the game. I don't know if that's an ornament kit on an amulet that I'm just not thinking of, so if you know that the amulet is already in the game, just leave a comment below and correct me. But if it's not, I'm thinking that that's actually the Globetrotter amulet, right? And so now we might have it spoiled. Cool. All right, now this is where Banker's Note just goes insane. Jagex did talk about that Jad fight, and I kind of just alluded to it a little bit on the last slide. You're gonna be able to pretty much have infinite food, right? As much food as you can cook and note in your inventory with you, you will be able to bring that amount of food to any instance area. I did steal this screenshot from Settled. Shout out to Settled, great guy. Swampletics, great series if you haven't seen it there. But again, Ultimate Ironmen have to bring all their items with them and they can't unnote them the way we can. But now with the Banker's Note, we can. right? So we will be able to bring all of our supplies and just keep refilling our inventory, as much food for every single boss and every single raid. And also for the Jad fight, let's say you ate your entire inventory on, wave 35 for whatever reason, then you're gonna be able to just, 2-click, refill your inventory of food, refill your inventory of prayer potions, and just get into wave 36, right? This is huge. I talked about learning the game. This is a very, very powerful training wheel for you. If you're trying to learn the game and you just run out of food and supplies on your Jad fights or your raids, this is gonna fix that for you. And that is so, so powerful, right? So this is definitely a strong contender. I wanna see what I'm sacrificing, what are the other relics of the tier, and what I'll be losing to this. I think it's going to be great for some players. It's going to be really powerful. Some things you're just going to be able to kind of do the same boss over and over again. It's like, facing the war of attrition. It's going to be really, really powerful, right? So just keep that in mind. I kind of already summarized it for you. So remember, infinite supplies for bossing and instances. That's great. Quality of life upgrades, gathering resources. It pretty much makes that kind of effortless, and you can kind of just repeat the same task over and over again. Harvesting resources. If you have endless harvest, it's not going to be as good because you're just going to bank all those resources automatically. But if you don't have endless harvesting resources is going to get a nice boost with this relic. And this is like a nice way to kind of balance out that endless harvest. Teleporting for runecrafting, you won't have to do that anymore. You'll just be able to click your inventory and click the essence and click the altar, right? And then for cooking, sure, kinda, right? If you unlock Zaya, you won't have to run back from the range, and that's for that little extra boost until you hit that 99 cooking. Cooking is already a fast skill. Everyone should get the cooking cape by the end of this league pretty easily, so I wouldn't sweat it. But other than that, there are some really nice quality of life upgrades. It's pretty much a better version of a bank tele in Last Recall, right? You just bring your bank with you. Okay, let's get into the tasks. Now, I took a screenshot of a few tasks here and how you can start using this information. So first of all, Jagex revealed only 2 master general steps, and you can kind of assume that there's going to be 99 for every skill also going to be there, but they do want us to max, so you can kind of keep that as potentially one of your end game goals, is to hit max total level. That's going to be great. Also, reaching 95 is just one of those master tasks you're going to be able to do on your way to maxing, right? So if you think about chaining your tasks, this is a great way to kind of think about it. And that's why I highlighted it here, is that look, first I'm gonna get 95 in all skills, and then I'm gonna get 99 in all skills. And on my way to getting that 99, I'm gonna actually auto-complete this 95 task, right? And that's a great way to kind of think about it. If you're lacking some points and you're like hitting 99s in some skills and only 90s in some skills, maybe you first wanna round out the 95s. That way you get some points to unlock another region. I'll be surprised if you have 95 across all your skills or 90s and you don't already have all the regions unlocked. But I understand some of you guys are definitely gonna be going for the skilling. So, and just for the training and AFK, you can do that and kind of get some of the things unlocked without doing all the tasks, right? So that's great for you. Now, if you're starting to figure out where your strategies are, I have listed here, some Misthalin and Karamja easy tasks. Now, we all have access to both Misthalin and Karamja at the start of the league. So that's why, I kind of highlighted them here. This will kind of help you start planning that first 20-minute route. If you watched my guide to planning, I talk about how you want to have like an idea of what you're going to do the moment you log in, because you can log in, your possibilities are going to be endless, and you're like, do I quest first? Do I go kill a goblin first? Do I pickpocket a man first? Do I do that? Do I do this? What do I do, right? So this will be able to, for you to kind of formulate out, hey, I'm going to, pickpocket a man. I'm going to walk out. I'm going to smack a goblin. I'm going to go do this quest over here, and then I'm going to go do that thing, right? So that's what you can start planning out. We have some of the early, easy, tasks revealed, so you can start using that to kind of plan out your early game. And that's going to be super valuable for you to just kind of have a plan in mind for that first 20 minutes, right? And that's just going to make, it become seamless on, getting into the game and get going. That's all I have for you today. Again, thank you so much for watching. And I've had more questions about, hey, if I'm going to stream on Twitch, so I'm just going to give a little shout out to my Twitch channel. It's linked below. If you want me to stream, definitely give a follow over there. The more followers I get, the more likely I am to stream. I will try to stream days 1 and 2. But then if you did find this video helpful and you just want to stay up to date with my daily spoiler recaps, definitely subscribe. That way you'll know when the next video comes out. Definitely like if you found this video helpful, and comment any ideas ideas or feedbacks, anything you guys can think of for Banker's Note, definitely leave a comment below. I'm really excited. I definitely probably missed some really powerful impact things with Banker's Note. So just leave them below. I want to kind of gather a full list of all the possibilities and value adds for this skill and this relic. So thanks so much. Catch you later next time.